If you found an ancient skull whistle in the recently deceased Zac Efron's locker and blew into it on a dare, summoning a supernatural force called the Chokra, aka the Cry, that guides your death to you earlier than it was meant to arrive, what would you do? In this How to Beat video, I'm gonna break down the mistakes Chris and her friends made, what you should do, and how to beat the Mayan death whistle in Whistle. We start out following Mason the Horse Raymore, playing some high school b-ball. Game point, down 2 points, 3 seconds on the clock. Horse catches the pass and fires off the three-pointer. The ball swishes through the net, and the vision of a burning ghost man attacks him. Hate to tell you, but you're not Zac Efron anymore, and this ain't High School Musical. Mason takes off into the locker room to grab his stuff and get the hell out of here. Oh no. This brainiac stuffed a haunted death whistle in his gym locker. With the heavy stomping of the Burning Man marching towards him, Mason tries to destroy the whistle with a kettlebell. For a moment, the Burning Man vanishes. Thinking the whistle's destruction spared him from death, Mason pops in the shower. That sucks. I'm sure we're gonna learn how Mason could have been spared by committing some form of crime or passing the cursed whistle onto some other unsuspecting teen. It sure didn't seem like the first time he'd been haunted by the Human Torch, so I gotta wonder what the hell this dude was doing playing high school basketball with the threat of getting flamed on imminently looming. Months after Mason's untimely demise, where he suddenly exploded into flames in the shower, caused by a freak gas line leak, which I assume the report will say. Goth girl Chris Willett is being transferred out of rehab and into Pellington High. And guess what? She's the new owner of Mason the Horse's locker. After a brief altercation with his former teammates, where she knees one of them in the nuts and gets all 5 of them sent to detention, she pops the locker open. Really? Nobody cleaned out the dead guy's locker? Wow. It really looks like there was a strong investigation into his extremely normal, totally natural death. Chris spots the ancient relic, all back together. Certainly a weird item for a jock to be possessing. She pops the lid and removes the whistle. It's ominously calling for her to blow into it. Saved by the bell, at least for now. Chris is definitely blowing into that whistle when she gets back home and throws on one of her grunge records and starts Dear Diarying. Mood apathetic. Unfortunately, with no real evidence of an investigation into Mason's death, and since this totem didn't come with an instruction manual, Chris is invariably fated to whatever consequences come from using it. Or not. Nerds. This message is sponsored by Raycon. Nerds, with spring and warm weather around the corner, I know I'm gonna be walking outside a lot more and soaking up sun by the pool. While I do enjoy the birds chirping and the wind blowing, more often, I'm popping in my Raycon Everyday Earbuds Classic and listening to YouTube videos, taking calls.
You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish, understand?
Just layering something productive onto the walk or tan sesh. The active noise cancellation is honestly huge. I used to live in an apartment next to a busy road, and without ANC activated, I could barely hear anything. It's perfect for tuning out the cranked up pop music at the gym during group sessions, quieting down a loud coffee shop work block, or isolating yourself from the outside bustle to really lock in. Activating ANC is like turning wherever you are into a library, like submerging underwater into a more tranquil state. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds Classic are also upgraded with multi-point connectivity, so you can pair 2 devices at once. No unpairing and repairing, just tap to toss your media output between devices like hot potato. You get 32 hours of battery life, a 10-minute quick charge for 90 minutes of playtime, plus awareness mode when you need to hear what's around you.
You talking to me? Well, who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
I personally rock the black pair, but they've got cool options like electric blue and cool mint. Raycon delivers premium audio quality comparable to the big brands at about half the price, with over 3 million happy customers and a 30-day happiness guarantee. The Everyday Earbuds Classic are perfect for refreshing your routine this spring. Go to buyraycon.com/nerd to get 20% off. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring this video. At attention, Chrys sets her backpack on the desk and out pops the relic. The teacher running detention's a bit of a history buff and puts it under a magnifying glass. He says it's an ancient Mayan instrument of sorts, inscribed with words that translate to summon the dead. Given the historical value and significance, he says he's gonna hold on to it, and in exchange for cutting detention short, he assigns them a 6-page historical essay on the role of pre-prepared sacrifice in ancient Mesoamerica. What a first day at school! After the students leave to complete his bullshit busy work, Mr. Craven hops onto an online marketplace to check the value of his new possession. $36,000 for a totally real historical ceramic artifact that can't even summon the dead. Smelling early retirement, Craven decides to function test the Mayan death whistle before listing it for sale. Yeah, you don't need to function test it, man. It's not a German timepiece. It's a ceramic object you blow air into.
Oh, and you can put your weed in there.
If it has a hole in it, it works. That's what she said, I know. Mr. Craven then conveniently leaves the room without looking both ways, without using any peripheral vision at all, leaves the door ajar, and the absurdly valuable relic sitting out in the open on his desk. Also, while the comparable sale price is plainly visible on his still open computer screen.
I have very little patience for stupidity.
This is not a smart man. A smart man wouldn't care how well the whistle works. He'd lock it in the drawer or take it with him. Chris's cousin comes back to grab the record that he left in the room, sees the goods, and snags the whistle right out of the jar. On his way out, Rel runs into the local preacher boy offering drugs to Chrys and attempts to stop him.
Hey, get the away from me!
Stop!
Back at school, Mr. Craven's depressed to discover his yearly wage has been stolen. Working late, smoking his tears away, he hears a noise out in the hall. When he goes to check it out, he finds a deranged hospital patient croaking in the middle of the hallway. The janitor snaps him back to reality, the sick patient disappearing into thin air. It's about this moment when Craven must realize he's made a terrible mistake. Too late to do anything now. The curse doesn't die with him though. Chris's cousin Rel brings the whistle to a party. Chrys surprisingly wants nothing to do with it, while Grace, on the other hand, she gives it a go. Based on the freakish, unholy sound that Mayan death whistle made, I think Grace immediately knew that she done f***ed up. After everyone leaves, she desperately researches the relic to figure out what she just cursed herself with. So far, inconclusive. Her research is interrupted by what she thinks is her little brother messing with her. Then scurrying sounds behind her. She calls out, thinking the creepy peeping Tom might be her boyfriend Dean. Walking closer, it appears the man she literally just saw has vanished. Phew! Thank God. Must have been the wind. Better get cranking on that homework, because I can't imagine you feel like you have much time left after that. Unfortunately, so far nobody's figured out anything about the Mayan whistle. Nobody knew Mason blew it. Nobody will suspect Craven blew it since it's no longer in his possession. It'll only be after Grace is killed that Chrys, Ellie, Dean, and Rel realize the Mayan Olmec death whistle is as real as it gets. The next day at school, everyone's summoned to an all-student assembly, where the principal briefs them on Craven's death. The coroner determined his cause of death was stage 4 lung cancer, stating that it was amazing he was even on his feet yesterday. Despite not blowing into the whistle, Chrys has been getting haunted recently too. She saw someone standing in the tree across the street outside her window, and now Grace is getting haunted as well. watching in horror as the student in front of her's head crackles and contorts backwards. It's looking like if you even breathe in the vicinity of this thing, it's got you in its sights. Grace gives the whistle back to Chris, saying it gives her the creeps. Bit of an understatement. Personally, I'd be in full-blown panic mode after seeing what she saw that night. Getting slapped in the face from behind by a corpse ghost and all. What would I do? I sure as shit wouldn't want to be alone right now. Unfortunately, I don't think that there's anything that can be done to save Grace at this point. There's no negotiation, only sacrifice. At this point, nobody's sharing what they're seeing with each other, so nobody truly understands the danger this thing poses. Well, except for Grace, probably. Not knowing what to do with the artifact, Chris and Ellie try taking it back to Mason Raymore's parents' house to return it, since their logic is that it was originally in his possession. Obviously, it would be far more realistic to just throw it in the trash, though I'm sure it'd pop right back up in her locker. And I'm sure Chris has some idea that this is the case, given all the mystique and death surrounding it, and decides to skip that step, hoping Mason's parents might have information on where he got it, a trail that they could follow, some circumstantial evidence. And boy do they hit the jackpot. Mason's mother, Ivy, is a certified kook obsessed with how different cultures ritualize and deal with death, collecting trinkets, artifacts, paintings. Ivy reveals that half a decade ago, she picked the death whistle up from a back alley market in Guatemala. She says it took her grandson, her daughter, and it will take more. I was about to go on a rant about how Ivy did a terrible job securing this murderous artifact. Then I remembered Mason destroyed it, and it still ended up back in his locker, waiting for Chris. Clearly, it's indestructible, and apparently has the power of teleportation, so I don't think Ivy could have done all that much. You know, aside from not going shopping for death in a Guatemalan back alley in the first place. Chris asks her, what is it? She says, in Chokra, it's called the Cry, a stolen treasure from a plundered people. The real bombshell, though, comes when Chris says they translated the markings to summon the dead. And Ivy responds with, not quite. The markings actually read, summon your death. Ooh, bit of a mistranslation. Ouch. She continues, the day you're born, so is your death. From that day on, she is searching for you. If you're fated to die at 90, it'll take her 90 years to find you. Fated to die at 30, only 30. But if you hear the whistle scream, it changes all that. A call from the Chokra guides your death, so she finds you earlier. Wait. If you hear the whistle scream, not if you blow into it. Well, that means Chris, Rel, Dean, and Ellie are all screwed. What kind of unfair BS is that? If some idiot blows the whistle in your presence without you knowing or realizing it, you're doomed just like that? Okay, so hypothetically, if my friend heard the scream, is there any way to not be guided to their death? Asking for a friend. Chris skips the solution part entirely and jumps straight to asking what their deaths are gonna look like. Ivy responds, you will become what you would have been in your last breath. So if you were fated to die burning alive in a car accident or house fire, you'd end up with a death similar to Mason's. Okay, can we circle back to the solution part? Finally, Chris asks, what if I don't want to die?
Then you shouldn't have been born.
Oh, come on, lady. I know that sounded really profound, a real mic dropper, but for real, come on. There's gotta be something that back alley Guatemalan told you. You're telling me he gave no cautionary tale, no, don't blow on it, but if you trip and accidentally exhale into it when your face hits the floor, you need to do X to break the curse. You're telling me nothing. Chris and Ellie are convinced it's bullshit. That's why they're breaking into the Pellington Hospital records to dig into the causes of each victim's death, hoping to find a pattern, some connection between the deaths and what Ivy said. Mason's records show that he had the body of a 40-year-old based on dental and bone structure records. Yet, He died at 17. You will become what you would have been in your last breath. Mason would have died later in life from the gas leak. Mr. Craven's cancer would have killed him eventually too. So Ivy was telling the truth. They head out to warn Grace, Rel, and Dean, who were all partying at the Pellington Harvest Festival. Guess we're about to learn how Grace dies. Old age. Grace is not a fast learner, nor particularly keen. Again, not that it's gonna matter, but going into a haunted maze alone after blowing into an Olmec death whistle and seeing actual ghosts, how could this go well? And as she's finding out, nobody's gonna believe you or care that a spooky figure's chasing you in a haunted maze. All you did was add friction for when you inevitably get haunted again and then try to call for help. Too late for Grace. Her future self attacks. Grace smacks the old bitch with a shovel, knocking herself out. Because death is like a rubber band. It bounces off it and snaps right back to you. Grace makes it farther than most, running through the maze and finding a hiding spot. But the old winch is a fast crawler. Grace is pretty spry in her old age. She escapes again, managing to eke out a few more seconds. But the ghost is everywhere, all at once. Chris, Rel, Ellie, and Dean convene at the gym, where Chris tells them the bad news. They all heard the scream, which means they're all completely screwed. Nobody takes it well. Rel storms off with his giant teddy bear, and Dean drunk drives home. Honestly, I don't think the whistle's cry is gonna catch up to Dean before he wraps his truck around a light pole. Or maybe it will. Dean crawls into his room and sees his death. Meanwhile, Chris has been trying to Google information about the whistle, but what do you know? There's not a whole lot of coverage on the 4,000-year-old artifact that kills anyone who so much as breathes on it. Chris and Ellie use the limited time they have to search for a solution to make out. The next morning, the three of them go to pay Ivy Monroe another visit, desperate for answers, desperate for a way out. Ivy tells them there's a way to change its course. Give your death to someone else's life. Offer and Chokra a new sacrifice. When your death is near, mark another with your blood, and you will be spared. Thanks, you old bitch. You could have told us that back when we first asked you, before our friend got killed. And all of us are minutes or days away from death too. Good thing they got to her before Ivy croaked.
But living, that's up to you.
This lady is so profound, she passes away right at the end of her own one-liner. Just then, in the mirror, Chris sees herself as an OD victim, needle sticking out of her arm. Alright, let's put the local gun store into the GPS. Chris and Ellie are all like, no, I don't hurt anyone. I'm a pacifist. And Rel's all like, I'm headed to the hardware store, and I'm gonna give Chokra something it ain't seen before. I'm with Rel, obviously. This is not the time to be a pacifist. That realization and change of heart should come after you commit the heinous crime. Kinda like how you OD'd, causing your dad to die in a car crash, rushing you to the hospital. And then afterwards, you realized you shouldn't do drugs. I mean, really, Chris and Ellie, you can't cough up two dipshits who deserve a premature death? No one comes to mind. Not the obvious preacher boy who gave a kid drugs that he OD'd on them too. You already sliced his nostril, kicked him in the nuts. Looks like Rel beat them to it with his glizzy. Except the bozo fully extends his arm with a pistol within grabbing range and gets distracted by the church bell. Is getting shot with his own gun Rel's final destination? Because that is embarrassing. Rel has just one piece of bad news for the preacher boy. This ain't how he dies. The Glock miraculously jams. Rel knocks him out, drags him to the mill, and performs the ceremony exactly as Ivy described. Straps him down, waits for the hair on his arm to stand up, signifying that death is near, then marks the next victim with his own blood. But not quite. Chris and Ellie run in yelling for him to stop. that they can find another way. Rel stupidly listens to them and backs away from the preacher, signing his own death by Muffin Monster. Cool. Good job, Chris. Now we know why your death was an OD. Because you got your good cousin Rel killed by trying to save some dirtbag you didn't even care about. He didn't have time left. A life had to be taken, and you chose poorly. And all for a guy who's gonna be of no help in figuring out how to break the curse. If anything, he's gonna be antagonistic to it. If Rel had survived, he might have actually been able to help you find a solution. Before Rel died, he said everyone has to die once. Their plan? Stop each other's hearts, then resuscitate with an AED. I inject you, make sure you have no pulse, no heartbeat, so you're technically dead. And then the glucagon, so we don't go hypoglycemic when the defib kickstarts the heart. Oh wow, never seen this move pulled before. There is absolutely no evidence, or even strong logical reasoning to suggest the death whistle cares if your heart stops beating for a moment. That's not technically death. If it were, AEDs and CPR wouldn't exist. Because death is when the body reaches an unrecoverable state with enough brain damage that you cannot be revived. Haven't we learned by now that you cannot cheat death? Ivy was pretty clear about the only way to break the curse. Offer and Chokra a new sacrifice. When your death is near, mark another with your blood, and then you will be spared. Absolutely nothing in there about stopping your heart for a minute or playing dead. Not to mention, you're in an old industrial mill, and that defib looks about as ancient as the Mayan relic. Not a shot I'd be risking my life with that old crap. I'm marking the preacher boy with my bloody hand. Unfortunately, nobody can warn Dean about this little opportunity before his death arrives. And it is a brutal slow-motion car accident that is fully uncensored on the Patreon version of this video. Dean did not arrive alive. Holy hell. And his parents walk in just in time to see their dead son walking before he collapses into a pile of meat. Chris and Ellie initiate the procedure, starting with Chris. Wow, this looks an awful lot like how she was supposed to die. Man, her eyes are all glassy. I don't think she made it. The situation's really getting out of hand now. The preacher's trying to sledgehammer his way in for revenge. Chris is getting dragged to hell, and to make matters worse, Ellie's seizure death is imminent. Noah blasts the AED and pops Ellie right in the torso, with the pistol they left next to the angry, vengeful man that Rel tied up and nearly murdered. Chris, through the power of friendship and love, manages to spiritually resuscitate her physical body, only to wake up and find Ellie convulsing, and the cry kneeling over her. It's looking really bad. Until the preacher finally makes entry and stupidly leans down to swipe up a couple fingers worth of her gunshot wound blood dripping all over the floor, thus marking himself for termination. What did he die from? Tripping and falling into a bee's nest? Or was it suffocating himself inside a body latex Halloween costume? Well, that was lucky. 3 months later, Chris has a new hairdo. She has her girlfriend. She has now. And a fun high school pop song to hold hands to. The curse has finally been lifted, and their future's been restored. I'm sure you can guess what's about to happen. Oh my god. Come on. Chris and Ellie were literally screaming at you to stop, and you went ahead with it anyway. This girl is evil. Why would you think to blow that at a school assembly anyways? Absolute moronic psychopath. It's not even musically good. It emits a horrible screech. And if you hadn't blown into it before and heard it yourself, why would your first instinct be to do it in front of the entire school? Well, everyone, line it up. We're going to be running a resuscitation clinic after assembly once your classmates start horrifically dropping like flies. Personally, if I were Chris and Ellie, I would have left Pellington after this whole tragedy. Yes, the whistle finds people and whatnot, but there does seem to be a strong locality to its presence. Given it's indestructible and apparently able to teleport out of whatever box you lock it in, it stands to reason it's just bouncing around until it finds the next idiot to blow into it. In which case, I want to be as far away from that thing as humanly possible. Move out to the country, buy some chickens, start a chicken farm with Ellie, somewhere so remote that nobody within 100 miles would ever think to blow into something like that. Then my next move would be to publish as much documentation about it as possible, including how to beat it. Right on Wikipedia or something, so the next victim who Googles it doesn't come up with 0 search results like you did. Ultimately, the Mayan death whistle remains unbeaten. It's indestructible, it can teleport, and realistically, you couldn't cheat it like Chris and Ellie did. Moral of the story, don't blow it. Seriously, stop putting your lips on ancient artifacts inscribed with the words of death.